treasurer, also vice-chairman, and he's now the chairman. And he's played a very active part in the progress of the Sydney Turf Club. Jester Boy racing with tapes on both hind fetlock joints. That little bit of rain Ken was talking about would suit Jester Boy, should it come between now and the time they jump away. By golly, he loves the mud. Belmura Lad, a Derby winner in his 3-year-old days, is about to go up into the gates, ridden by Peter Cook. He's trained by Bart Cummings. And another good horse to carry those same colours was Holiday Wagon, who ran second in a Melbourne Cup. Joyita, a place getter in the Marlborough Classic, is moving up into the stalls. There's the long shot Kaiser, 400 to 1 on the tote. Lady Athenea has moved up. Crepalox coming forward with Lady Archon. And they're virtually spilling into the gates now. Let's have a look at the timepiece. This was scheduled for 1:40. It's right on 1:40 now, so they're going to be just a shade late. The judge coming forward. Bernard follows him into the gate, ridden by Kevin Langby, who's had a good winning association with that horse. Fralo moves forward, waiting on one of the Kiwi horses, March Legend, with Roger Lang in the saddle. Linda Jones on Big Bickies, and she's still out of line too. Big Bickies carries the 17 saddlecloth. Big Bickies, however, quoted at 87 to 1, despite the presence of Linda Jones, although I would imagine there'll be quite a bit of sentimental attachment here to Linda riding this horse, because Big Bickies was the horse to give her her first win against the men in New Zealand after she commenced her apprenticeship. And shortly after that, the horse came to Australia and is now trained here at Rose Hill by Paul Sutherland. She rode him in a gallop here last Friday week. Now, Big Bickies and Manicato, they're the two to move up into line. Manicato, I don't know, I just got the feeling when he got up near the gates that he wasn't overly keen on the job. I saw him put his ears back on his head there for a fleeting second, and it requires 2 or 3 of the gatemen to bundle him into the stalls. He's gone up now, Manicato, so that leaves only March Legend. The lights are flashing on top of the gates from the 1400, a run of about 400 to the first corner. The judge drawn in 5, Manicato out a bit deep in 12, but he certainly got the speed to overcome that. Now we're just waiting for the starter. He's there now. Billy Dale has the button, and they're about to break. Jester Boy, the inside runner. Racing now, pretty good start, a little bit slow to move Kaiser. The others jumped away in a beautiful line with the judge and Bernard beginning brilliantly, and so too as Manicato. Fralo quickly into stride and pushing up on the fence into a good spot. Jester Boy and Big Bickies prominent with Joyita. Further back in the field when they settle, Lady Archon and then Kaiser always welcome. Belmura Lad. A long way back in the field when they settle is Manawapoi and then Romantic Dream and March Legend, and last is Lady Athenea. 900 to go and Manicato breezed across from his outside gate and went to the lead about 2 lengths on Bernard. The judge is running third at the 800 metres mark. On the fence, Jester Boy, and then Crepalox and Fralo, Lady Archon, Kaiser, Big Bickies, Belmura Lad, always welcome. Joyita drifting well back in the field with Manawapoi, Lady Athenea, Romantic Dream and March Legend. About 500 to go as they come to the turn. Manicato led, he's under a good hold, and he pricked his ears on the corner. Manicato led nicely as they turned for home. Bernard second, he shifted just a bit. Manicato, Jester Boy's on the fence third, followed by the judge, and further back Crepalox running on strongly, followed by Belmura Lad and always welcome. But Manicato given a dig in the ribs and raced away at the 200. He's kicked away 3 lengths on Bernard. He's got them all struggling, and it is certainly the real Manicato today. Manicato careering away, and this is going to be a brilliant win. He's trotted in Manicato. Joyita got up to run second, third always welcome, and then Belmura Lad, Crepalox, Jester Boy, March Legend, the judge, Romantic Dream, Bernard, Fralo, then Kaiser, Big Bickies, Lady Athenea, and the last 2 are Lady Archon and the very hard to follow Manawapoi is Absolute. Well, there's one man that we've all got to pay a huge tribute to, and that is trainer Bob Hoisted. Only great trainers and men with a great understanding of their horses can do what Bob has done in the space of 7 days. In previous weeks, he was training a horse to run 2,000 metres. He failed at 2,000 metres after pulling himself stupid early in the Guineas last week. 7 days later, he had him fresh enough to lead and win that race by some 6 or 7 lengths. Now, at the 200, Willits shook him up, slapped him down the shoulder, and he left Bernard lamenting. Krepalox momentarily moved into third place and looked as though he might get a little closer to them. Always welcome, took a long while to get wound up. He was doing his best work wide out in the last bit, and the little mare Joyita came home hard along the fence, but all in vain because Manicato had absolutely blitzed them by this and had a big margin to spare when they hit the line. Number 15, Manicato, ridden by Gary Willets, has proved that he is a dead-set sprinter, maybe a dead-set sprinter miler. And what a great race the Doncaster's going to be for him. Ken, how do you feel now?
You're a little beauty, John. Yes, that was a real Manicato. The horse that Melbourne knows and the horse we saw this day last year in the Golden Slipper Stakes. Bob Hoisted, the trainer of Manicato, has just been surrounded by about 30 pressmen. I think it would be in vain to try and dive there in the middle of them now, but I'll get him in a moment if we just stay with us. And Gary Willets, who rode the champion, is just starting to bring the horse back now. I think a lot of credit should go to the clerk of the course, Joe Buckman, who quietened the horse down, led him around to the barrier, and well, you all saw what happened. Gary took a little while to let the horse shake off Bernard for the early lead, and from there it was really a procession. You can hear the cheering in the background of the crowd with Manicato being successful, and here's the winning trainer, Bob Hoisted. Good on you, Bob. It's what you said, we might see the right horse now, eh?
Yeah, very good.
He looked pretty good, didn't he?
Raced a bit like his old self today, Ken, and it was good to see him doing that.
What do you think you'll do with him now, the Doncaster?
He'll run the Doncaster, yes.
No worry with the mile around week?
I was very glad to hear the crowd cheering him as they did. It's a wonderful feeling.
Mate, they got pretty good hearts and they all love a champion.
I'm glad that they saw him perform something like his best form.
Bob, I'll let you go and have a word with Gary now because Manicato is just returning to the enclosure. And I don't think I've seen a bigger smile on a jockey's face for a long while than there is on Gary Willets at this moment. Willets being led in. Manicato is inclined to play up a little, and you'll notice, as John told you earlier, that he was led around to the start by the clerk of the course, Joe Buckman, and he was continually patted by that gentleman at the same time. Mel Suckle, the owner of Manicato, was just having a quiet talk to Gary Willets then. As you heard Bob Hoisted say, the crowd certainly took Manicato to their hearts. There was very loud cheering when he burst away just below the 200-metre point, and I don't know what the winning margin's going to be, but I think Daylight was really second. Is that the real Manicato, Gary?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, terrific.
Pretty good win, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'll say.
He settled nice for you today? The steward's called Willets on. We'll have a word with him later after he weighs in, which I'm sure he'll do correctly.
Gave him a bit of rain, didn't I, about today?
Bert Lilly, the turf editor of the Sydney Morning Herald, just told me that Gary just told him that he gave the horse a bit of rain. He said, I wasn't going to muck around today, and that's exactly as you saw it. Manicato first and Daylight second.
Yes, another crowd shot here in the member stand as Manicato is led away after his great win in the George Ryder Stakes. I'll be interested to get these attendance figures later on. Generally, the best guide to Golden Slipper crowds are the number of people that get down onto the dark blue check. King's Ideal directly behind her. Volubula, trained by Bart Cummings, broke through for a well-deserved win at a Canterbury midweek meeting recently when she absolutely strolled home, and before that she'd run second in a fillies race at Warwick Farm, Volubula, and on that occasion I thought she was a certainty beaten. It might sound a rather uninteresting name for a racehorse, Volubula, but I'm almost certain that she's named after the well-known river which flows through the Lachlan Valley out in the midwest of New South Wales, and from the days that I used to spend a little time in Canoundra, the word Volubula is an Aboriginal word which means winding like a snake. So how it applies to the naming of a racehorse, I'm blowed if I know. She is by Folkestone out of Leelock. There are many behind-the-scenes people who are cogs in the wheel of a successful race meeting, and some of those people certainly comprise the barrier attendants. They do a marvellous job. They take care of all sorts of mishaps and bad behaviour that goes on behind the gates. In their own right, they're all expert horsemen, and they do a marvellous job because, after all, they're looking after valuable pieces of horse flesh that invariably are carrying a fortune in public money. And they certainly have their share of responsibility, the gatemen. Looking very resplendent these days in their blue dust coats. There's Brandy Sipper going up into the stalls. I can't get a clear look at them from our broadcasting viewpoint until they've jumped about 50 metres. The official on the course proper has the white flag in the air, and it's moving just slightly, which indicates that there's only a wisp of breeze at Rose Hill, but rather cloudy and overcast. And Kenny Callender believes there might be a storm later on, and the way he's been tipping, you've got to take some notice of him. Millionaire is a New Zealander who scored well in a much easier race at the last Rose Hill Wednesday meeting. March to Glory was close handy to the turn in last week's Guineas and then folded up badly. Gondolier, I thought, ran a good race in the Guineas. He was never on the track. Brandy Sipper was another one to cover a lot of extra ground. They're racing in the Guineas. Racing in the Tulloch Stakes, rather. They'll be in view in a matter of moments, and here they come now. And the joint leaders, Career and King's Ideal, as they race into view. Prunella going up in a hurry with Diamond Cutter towards the lead. Mr. Good Times Prominent, Double Century caught out fairly deep, and Oath and Bond is going up hard towards the lead, and Oath and Bond, in fact, took up the running as they get to the 1600. Oath and Bond in front now, swinging to the back. Double Century on the outside, moves to second. Career third. Lord Folkestone three deep, is striding up closer to the lead. About 2 lengths away then is Diamond Cutter. On the fence behind them, King's Ideal, and then Prunella, followed by Mr. Good Times down the aisle, Gondolier. Further back came Millionaire, over on the fence, Balabula, and Brandy Sipper out covering a bit of territory. He's 3 deep at the moment. Then Satimi and Take Notice, and March to Glory back at the tail at the 1100 down the back now, and Lord Folkestone on the outside sharing the lead with Oath and Bond, and they're going together. About 2 lengths on Double Century on the outside of Career. Another 2.5 to Prunella, taking closer order. Then King's Ideal and Diamond Cutter, closely followed by Mr. Good Times. Further back in the field came Gondolier at that point, and then down the aisle, Millionaire, followed by Balabula, and March to Glory back towards the tail of the field as they race past the 800 and Take Notice second last. Lord Folkestone, a narrow leader now from Oath and Bond, running third, Double Century on the outside of Career. Then Prunella, followed by King's Ideal, Gondolier, Mr. Good Times in that bunch, and further back down the aisle at the head of the others, Satimi, as they come to the turn, and Diamond Cutter got well back with Millionaire, and Balabula back near the rear as they turn for home at the 400. Oath and Bond again went to the lead from Lord Folkestone. On the fence behind them, Career, then King's Ideal, Double Century, Brandy Sipper, Gondolier. Wide out is running home strongly. I don't think Prunella can win. She's racing erratically. Bad interference back in the field. She flattened Diamond Cutter. Career got the rails run, went to the lead. Gondolier, and now down the aisle is flying home. Career stopping down the aisle. Wide out is cutting it down, but Career hung on long enough to win. Down the aisle, second, a close third, Double Century. Gondolier weakened for fourth. Then King's Ideal, followed by Prunella, Balabula, March to Glory, Satimi. Then Oath and Bond, Brandy Sipper disappointing. Well back, Diamond Cutter, Mr. Good Times, Take Notice, and Millionaire, and Lord... A lot of extra territory. It's pretty near a horseshoe-shaped 1,200 metres. Now, back to the starting point. The gates are about to be locked up. Again, a shot of the crowd in the member stand with all decks jam-packed to capacity, and the lawn, the big lawn reserve in between the public stand and member stand. Well, you couldn't fit another punter in there if you tried. A big welcome to viewers on QTQ 9 Brisbane, NWS 9 in Adelaide, who've just joined us in the last minute or so for our Golden Slipper telecast, and I will be acknowledging many other country relays during the rest of the afternoon. But to everyone joining us now for the grandstand coverage from Rose Hill, a big welcome, and I hope that you can sort out the winner of the Golden Slipper. I hope it's a lucky race for you. Now, let's have a look. There could be a delay over here at the start because there's no effort being made whatever to lock the barrier stalls up in front, and it's right on the advertised starting time now. So I'm just wondering if something's gone amiss with one of the runners. All riders are still on board. I thought one of them may have loosened a plate, but no, that's not the case. There's a group of attendants in front of the stalls, all in blue dust coats, and it's a real beehive of activity now as they start to snap the stalls shut in front. They did that in double quick time. And there it is, the coveted trophies, 3 of them, to first, second and third place getters in the Golden Slipper Stakes. Small, simple, but very, very valuable, and certainly one that'll take pride of place on the mantel shelf of any racing man. Now, his benchmark has the dubious honour of being the first up into the starting stalls. His backers will certainly hope he's first home. No, Benchmark wasn't keen to go up. He wheeled away, racing in conspicuous dark blue, pale blue colours. Stage Hit actually beat Benchmark into the gates. Stage Hit ridden by, and I say this in all respect, the oldest rider in the field, Alan McLean, who I believe is in his early 50s. A great rider of 2-year-olds, and he's had a tremendous run of success on horses trained by Cliff Fowler. Benchmark getting a little bit cantankerous. He should have been in there at least a minute or two back, but he bailed up. Now he goes in. Rocky Top is moving into the stalls with John Duggan, the rider. Now his bungler, the little lightly framed Western Australian filly, about to go up. Century Miss, a very big, strongly built filly. Wayne Harris. If she wins the race, he'll be the youngest rider ever to win the Golden Slipper. Johnny Miller, another veteran performer, coming forward on Lowen Star. A little filly by Tatnam is next to move up. Silent Slipper. Reason to Smile, ridden by Graham Cook, a daughter of Ler Cadonia, comes up into the gates. She was one of the most consistent of the early 2-year-old performers this season. Dawn Command has moved in now. Brent Thompson, the rider, he's by Without Fear. Dignitas Sun being held by one of the clerks of the course. Now, looks like one of them has unloaded the rider here. Harry White, I think, was dislodged there from Pompeur. Or has he dismounted? I'm not sure. No, Gordon Spinks has also dismounted from Mersing, so probably those two were intended to be put in riderless anyway. I thought Harry White may have been unseated, but not the case. Now, Harry White and Gordon Spinks on foot at the moment, as their respective horses are placed in. Stars Grace in the conspicuous red and yellow colours with the polka dot cap, winner of the Black Opal Stakes, and is a filly by Capricorno. Dignitas Sun and Stars Grace are going to be the last two to move in. Stars Grace, nicely drawn in about number 5 barrier. Those in the gates are standing up perfectly. Stars Grace looking for her spot. Moves in. Pompeur is steadied, and this will be a start. Starter Billy Dale about to release the field in the slipper of 79. All set. Stand by. Jump at any second. Line's good. No, there's one climbing up in the gate towards the outside. I'm not sure which one it was. May have been Dignitas Sun. Spoiling the start. Jump at any second. Racing in the slipper, pretty good start, and Bungler wide out, and Rocky Top began brilliantly with Dawn Command, Reason to Smile, and Pompeur near the inside is going towards the lead in the early part, and Sweet Habit prominent, and now Stage Hitters going like the wind, and so too a Silent Slipper right off the track. Snowing just in behind that bunch early, and then Mersing and Century Miss and Lowen Star trapped out about 4 deep. Benchmark is a long way back in the field as they join the course proper, and then Stars Grace and Bungler dropping back into the field, followed by Mighty Kingdom, and Rocky Top had now dropped out to be last of all. At the 600 metres mark, and Stage Hitters just the leader, showed the way from Pompeur. Close handy on the outside, Silent Slipper, Dawn Command between horses, and then Sweet Habit as they turned for home from Dignitas Sun, Century Miss and Snowing. Lowen Star made the turn very awkwardly and took Bungler right off the track. In the straight, and Pompeur the leader, Dawn Command is coming after it, Mersing battling on. Stage Hitters gone, and then Sweet Habit and Lowen Star on the extreme outside, but Pompeur in front with 100 to go. Dawn Command looks the danger. Dawn Command coming after Pompeur. Dawn Command has drawn level with Pompeur. Dawn Command takes the lead. Look at Century Miss flying down the outside. I don't know. She may have got it. Century Miss may be in the last stride from Dawn Command, but there's nothing in it. Third, I'm not sure. Close up is Stars Grace with Mighty Kingdom and Sweet Habit and Stage Hit right on top of them. Pompeur in that photo. Well back, Reason to Smile, Bungler, Lowen Star. Then Benchmark, Dignitas Sun, Snowing, Rocky Top and Silent Slipper. And Mersing pulled up with the tail enders in the slipper of 79. Oh boy, what a finish. Dawn Command had the slipper absolutely shot to pieces. 60 or 70 metres from home, but Century Miss has produced a Burnborough finish. She has an enormous stride, this filly, and she looked to be taking 1 to Dawn Command's 2 in the last 50 metres. Pompeur gave her back as a thrill when she shot clear at the 200, but Dawn Command, given one cut with the whip by Brent Thompson, was quickly ready to pounce on Pompeur, and at this stage Dawn Command looked a certain winner. The others were all struggling, headed by Mersing. Sweet Habit was still there. Lowen Star was doing nothing. Neither was Stage Hit. 100 metres out, Century Miss was still giving Dawn Command 4 to 5 lengths, but she just seemed to put in about 6 almighty leaps. Dawn Command still ahead in front, 1 stride from home, but Century Miss in that final desperate lunge to the line has, oh, golly, I don't know. I don't know. Century Miss maybe. Stand by. Century Miss has got it. Number 9, Century Miss has won the Golden Slipper, giving Wayne Harris an unforgettable thrill, and he becomes the first or the youngest rider to ever win the Golden Slipper. Number 9, Century Miss, to pay $3.10 and $1.20. Okay, Ken.
Come on. And the winner, Century Miss, was ridden by the teenage jockey, the wonder boy, Wayne Harris, who becomes the first apprentice to ever win the Golden Slipper Stakes. He's got the biggest smile you've ever seen all over his face, and well he might. His percentages runs into a good bit of money, and the winning trainer, of course, was Bart Cummings. I can't spot Bart at the moment, but he'll be here. Opinions in the enclosure here were divided as to whether Century Miss had beaten Dawn Command. It was quite evident to you watching the replay that Century Miss had just got there, but a lot of keen judges thought that Dawn Command had won, but such was not the case, and Century Miss's number went into the frame. Dawn Command, of course, was second, and the Neville Beg trained Sweet Habit was in third place. I'm just looking here now for Bart. Here's his son Anthony Cummings. Congratulations, Anthony.
Thank you, thank you.
Pretty good horse, isn't she?
Very good. Better now she's won.
Did you think she'd won?
Well, I was sitting past the post and I thought we just got beat.
She sure come quick that last
very
bit.
Quick, very quick. That was very good. Very
not
pleased,
a bad little rider, is he?
Very good. I tell you what, there's not many better. Not many better.
Well, here he comes back now, Wayne Harris, bringing Century Miss, who, as I told you before, was one of the favourites on the tote, one of the favourites in the betting ring. She's a lovely big filly, and you'll see him come into view in one moment with the biggest smile, Wayne Harris, I mean, you've ever seen on a winning jockey. Being led back in by the victorious owners of Century Miss. There she is now with Wayne Harris, a boy from Muswellbrook, who I don't think anybody had heard of at this time last year. And I think he's fighting to hold back the tears. And well he might. It's no disgrace to cry in a moment of joy like this. Wayne Harris's moment of triumph as he brings Century Miss back to the cheers of the crowd after the Golden Slipper Stakes. I'll be able to have a word with Bart Cummings in a moment. There's plenty of shouting and cheering in the enclosure at the moment. Excuse me, please. Congratulations, Bart. She's pretty good filly, isn't she?
Well, today proved it. She's very good, yes.
What do you think of your rider? You found him, the right jockey?
Best apprentice in Australia, I think, for years and years. Very good.
He's a very good rider. Thanks, Bart. Did you think she'd won in the photo?
Well, I had my fingers crossed. I wasn't sure, but I was at the wrong angle. But I think she'd been lucky she hadn't have won.
What about in the run? Had you given up hope?
Oh, well, he's much closer today and doing it easily, and I was very pleased turning for home. But after that, he took a little while to get a run, and but when it came, she flew home, and it was very pleasing.
She gave the impression that she won't be worried by that mile in the Champagne Stakes in a couple of weeks.
You're a good judge. You picked that, didn't you?
That was Bart Cummings, the trainer of the winner of Australia's first $250,000 race. And the bloke near him with a big smile, as I said before, is his son Anthony, who is Bart's Sydney stable foreman. Well, that's the scene in the enclosure at the moment. The winning margin in favour of Century Miss was ahead with 3/4 of a length between Dawn Command and the third horse, Sweet Habit. And the winning time was 1:10.7. Outside of the race record, which of course is held by the great Luskin Star, but certainly very good time indeed. That's the scene at this very moment in the enclosure. I'll go and chase up Wayne Harris, and I'm sure he's got plenty to say to us.
This guy without fear, trained by
Well, there she is, a filly whose value has just trebled, quadrupled, or whatever you like. Goodness knows how much she has now become as far as potential broodmare material later on is concerned as a winner of the Golden Slipper Stakes. Century Miss, a brown filly, bred by M.A. Woodkey of South Australia, retained by the breeder, foaled on the 29th of September 1976. She is by Century, who stands at the Mornmouth Stud, Whittlesea in Victoria. Century was the winner of 11 races and $171,000, including a Newmarket handicap in race record time, a Sire's Produce, a Lightning Stakes, a Cravenay Stakes, an Ascot Vale Stakes, and many other good races. He was a son of Better Boy, himself a great sire. Now, Century Miss is out of a mare called Gay Chorus, who is by Matrice, and again that famous Matrice blood sneaks into it. She was an unraced mare, and she was also the dam of Toy San, Miss Narcissus, Century Miss, and I believe one other winner. So she's the dam of 4 winners in all. Now, here's our video replay as the field thunders around the bend. Look at Lowen Star make the turn very awkwardly on the right-hand side of your screen. She scrambled out there on the bend and took Little Bungler even deeper. They were out of business from that point on. Snowing was also scrambling there in the orange with the purple cap. Now, Pompeur's backers got their pulses racing here as the Vain filly led at the 200 from Dawn Command. Mersing in third place in the pink, giving a bit of cheek. Stars Grace is coming along the inside rail in the polka dot cap. She ran a nice race. Now, in a moment, you'll see Century Miss, who's still about 5 lengths off them. Now, watch closely here. Century Miss, by golly, she did come from a long way back. She's coming through on the inside of Stage Hit. She comes between Stage Hit and Dignitas Sun. Still 5 lengths off the lead, under the whip. Increasing stride as she takes every bound. Dawn Command goes to a neck lead now over Pompeur. Century Miss with every leap is cutting them down. What a stride she's got as she swallows up the turf. And Century Miss right on the line in a very close one. Got there by the shortest allowable margin. No, by golly, that margin does surprise me. Ahead is the official winning margin with 3/4 of a length. Second and third, we'll tell you about the time later. Young Wayne has had time to settle down a little as Ken Callender prepares to talk to him.
Yes, and here's the winning jockey. Just excuse me, Keith. Congratulations, Wayne.
Thank you.
You come down to earth yet?
No, never.
Did you give enough hope in the run, Wayne?
Not till I was about 100 metres out. I thought I was going to run second. I thought that was the best I could do, but she just kept coming and 50 metres out. I thought I might just get the lead when I got him. Yeah, no hope.
Did you knew you'd won on the line?
I thought I did, yeah.
And Wayne, just for the record, how long ago did you ride your first winner in Sydney?
Just over 12 months ago.
So this time last year you wouldn't have even had a ride in the Golden Slipper Stakes. Congratulations, Wayne Harris, the youngest jockey to ever win the Golden Slipper Stakes. Thanks, Wayne. That was the winning jockey, and I think we've got more news coming up, particularly the presentation where there's Golden Slippers presented to the owner, trainer, breeder, and of course the winning jockey of the 23rd running of the Golden Slipper Stakes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege on behalf of the Sydney Turf Club to introduce His Excellency the Governor of New South Wales, Sir Odin Cutler, who will be making the presentation of the 23rd running of the Golden Slipper. Sir Odin Cutler.
Mr. Ryder and ladies and gentlemen, I think this is the most exciting Golden Slipper we've had. When it started in April 1957, there was a prize of £10,000. And now, of course, it is unquestionably Australia's major 2-year-old race. This 23rd year of the running of the Golden Slipper has prize money of $250,000, plus trophies of $1,400, and it makes it the richest race in the world for two-year-old thoroughbreds. It is, at present, the largest stake money available for any race in Australia. And there were a record number of 1,862 yearlings nominated for this year's race. It was, as I said, a wonderful race. Wayne Harris said he was confident 60 metres from home. I don't know whether all you backers of Century Miss were that confident, 60 metres from home. But it's the first year that an apprentice has won the Golden Slipper, and the Manicato Syndicate I think he deserves it. The Manicato Syndicate from South Australia. I think there are a lot of names, but I gather...
Too many.
Oh, Mr. Ryder says there are too many. I don't think they think that. But I gather that amongst them are good butchers and good winemakers, so it'll be a good steak and burgundy dinner tonight. And Mr. Cummings, who trained it, congratulations to the owners, the trainer, the jockey, and the horse itself. Are you the winemaker or the butcher?
I'm the winemaker.
The winemaker comes on.
Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the New Epworth Syndicate, I have great pleasure in receiving the trophy, and it's very hard to say the thrill that we've got out of Century Mrs. Win today. We leased the horse just for a bit of fun, but now it's turned out to be very profitable fun, and I can tell you that we'll be celebrating with Kaiserstuhl champagne tonight. I'd like to compliment Bart for a job well done.